a prolific teacher. He's got plenty of students with lots of accolades. So it's been exciting to get Stephen to come on the podcast and talk a little bit about how he got here, what he's up to, kind of how he makes things happen when he's working with students. So Stephen, thanks for being here. Tell us a bit about yourself.
Yeah, thanks for having me. How I got here. It's a little bit not the normal journey, I'd say. I didn't start playing golf until I was 17 years old. I
I
was a
see.
big baseball guy.
Mm,
Kind of took it up really late in my non-existent junior career, which is
I
ironic
see.
now because I teach a lot of juniors. Um, But yeah, once I got into it, I really got into it. I just took all that competitive fire from baseball and put it into golf, and I trained incredibly hard. So um, fast forward, um, I didn't play college golf, didn't play junior golf. I tried to walk on at MTSU
Mm,
my junior year, but I'd only been playing golf for 2.5 years. So I could shoot in the like mid low 70s by then.
wow.
But I'd played maybe 4 tournaments in my life, so it was a little bit
Wow.
of a pipe dream.
I see.
Um, so yeah, then from there I went all into golf. I did some internships. I worked for the First Tee. Worked at the little course
Mm,
golf house for a little bit. Doing some of the programming there, worked for the Tennessee section or interned with the Tennessee section PGA, setting up golf tournaments, and then just kind of got into the golf professional world after that. Along the way, I was lucky enough to be a volunteer assistant for Vanderbilt's women's golf team pretty early on, back in the early 2000s, probably
wow.
let's see, '04 to '06, '07, somewhere in there. So that was pretty cool. I had a friend that was actually on the team that I caddied for a
Wow.
ton, and they had a spot. Um, but yeah, then just kind of went down the PGA professional lane for a bit.
I
Actually
see.
burnt out, got out of
Mm,
golf for about, oh, I don't know, about 5 or 6 years. Did a lot of
wow.
um, some marketing kind of stuff, some
Yeah.
website design kind of stuff for a buddy of mine, and then missed it, got back into golf. Fast forward many years later, now I'm teaching full time and loving it.
I see. When you were playing ball, did you play any college ball, or you made a full shift over to golf?
No, I wasn't that good.
I see.
I
What position were you playing?
I was second base, shortstop, just up the middle.
I see.
So
Yeah,
I wasn't a very big guy growing up, so they just kind of stuck me up the middle. I could like field pretty good and hit a little bit, but then I just translated that hand-eye over to golf and took
I
off from
see.
there.
So 2 years of playing golf, when you really got into it, were you using instruction? How did you perform so well in 2 years, fending off all the bad habits from a baseball swing and not being that statistic? How were you able to make that happen in 2 years? Did you have some help?
Yeah, I had a lot of help. So my first instructor was Johnny Warren. Used to be out at Riverside. It's called what's it called now? Farm Links.
I
I
see.
think Johnny's semi-retired now. He's up at Fairview or Tennessee Grasslands
Yeah, cool.
now. But yeah, I was probably about 6 months into playing golf, and I realized or got some advice that hey, like if you're gonna do this, then go learn how to do it. So I took a lesson once a week for about two
Wow,
years,
good for you.
and Johnny basically created my golf game, and then I
I
took it a
see.
little
Very
bit from
interesting.
there. So yeah.
Gotcha. Now, what was your big thing when you were starting off and you were taking a lesson every week? Do you remember maybe it's a little bit of everything that you chipped away at, but was there one thing that you had to work on the most that was a big problem for you? Were you the classic baseball slicer, or was it something else?
Starting off, yeah, like hit it to the right. Couldn't control the club face or path. So I really don't remember much, honestly.
Mm,
I know we worked on a lot of mechanics early on,
yeah.
and it, I don't want to say it came pretty easy, but like I developed, I feel like pretty quickly. I
Hmm.
translated a lot of the baseball feels over. And funny enough, I even do that a little bit today with players that come in or former baseball players. It's actually been a really good help as far as
I bet.
talking to people and getting them to feel something they felt before, either as a kid or maybe even as a college athlete, and kind of helping that adapt over into the golf swing and how we can make that work for them.
What's a good example of that, if you can think of one?
Um, it's just the plane. The plane. If you're a hitter with a bat, it just changes. It's just on a different plane. It's just a more vertical plane than around your body.
I
As
see.
far as like how you're trying to meet it, but as far as like you know weight shift, staying behind the ball, rotating through, there's a lot of similarities in baseball that there
Yeah.
are in golf as well.
Would you say your work with Johnny there, it, do you feel like you've taken how he has worked with you and integrate that into how you work with students? Is there any one part of your sessions and your training sessions that you feel like are distilled from what was happening with you when you work with Johnny?
I would say the biggest thing is like I couldn't really even tell you one thing that we worked on, but my memory,
Gotcha.
but my memory is like it was always fun.
Hmm.
Um, it was always he was so welcoming and like I could tell that he cared and he wanted
Yeah.
me to get better. So that's probably the biggest thing that I took from him. That's probably one of the
Very good.
biggest things that I try to like show my players is like, hey, like you're not just coming here for an hour and I'm gonna shoot you out the door for the whoever's next. Like, I want my players to know that I care about them, and
Yeah.
you know that creates more buy-in, and then I can get more out of them. So I think that's probably the biggest thing that I learned from Johnny.
Fantastic. What else about your kind of coaching philosophy can you tell us a little bit about? How do you, or where do you stand in on the spectrum of when you're working with students? How do you go about making changes? How do you go about looking at the golf swing? Do you use a lot of technical terms when you're working? Is it very biomechanical, or is it more field based, like you were mentioning when you have baseball players in there? What does a lesson kind of look like, and how has that changed over the years?
I'd say, oh, it's definitely changed a lot over the years. I would say I'm still, or I feel like I'm still very much a feel
Hmm.
um, player or even teacher. Can definitely get technical. Can definitely go down some of those routes and rabbit holes if somebody wants to know or needs to know.
Hmm.
Um, but it's more of just giving them enough of what they need to know. Um,
Yeah.
and yeah, there's definitely a lot of technical stuff as far as I wouldn't say my jargon is very technical. I'm very, hey, like try to do this, move this,
Yep.
kind of a teacher as opposed to, you know, internal and ulnar and
Yep.
P1
Yep.
and
There you
P6 and
go.
all that kind of stuff. Like I don't really, I can tell you what it is, but that that doesn't translate to me. So
Sure.
that's just not how I communicate.
Yeah. You stop at ulnar. That's where you draw the line. Don't even
Yeah,
finish that. The second half of that. Fair enough.
right.
And that probably translates, especially works well with your junior golfers, is being able to stay away from more technical terminology and speech. Is that something that you found comparing your work with younger golfers and junior golfers versus adults and club golfers and things like that? Is there major differences between what a session would look like between the two?
Um, it depends on the player.
Mm,
I wouldn't say there's a
mhm.
huge difference.
Yeah.
It really is player dependent. Uh, whether if somebody just stands there and is waiting for information, or it's a back and forth dialogue,
Yeah.
communication. Like that's the biggest thing for me. Like I need more information. I need, or otherwise I'm just guessing.
I
Um,
see.
Most of the time I'm a good guesser, but if I have more information, I can be a better guesser. So
Yeah.
yeah, I
True.
wouldn't say there's, I don't really approach it any differently. Um, but it is probably it's a lot depending on like okay, what kind of feedback am I getting? Like, do I need
Hmm.
to interject more? Am I getting a lot and I need to kind of okay, that's good, but we need to shift away from that, or do I need to keep guessing at what you're feeling? Um, Usually, the
Smart.
better
Yeah.
players are very good communicators, and
Gotcha.
that's makes my job a whole lot easier.
I see. Now I've seen that you certainly can use the full spectrum of feel versus tech, right? And so I've seen you use some pretty high tech equipment. What has been your experience with that side of things? The more data dense equipment and things like that. How do you decide when to use things like that and integrate that into your sessions?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I use TrackMan for all my sessions through video analysis, and also just all the numbers that TrackMan spits back out at you.
Hmm.
Recently, we have a Gears system, which is 3D motion capture system. That is used to be a lot harder to set up, but they've come out with a hybrid version that is way easier to get players on. Um, so been using that a lot more, especially this winter, when we have time to kind of break stuff down and actually make improvements or changes
Yeah.
for players if we need to. When it's peak tournament season, it's hard to make kind of big adjustments like that. So
Right.
mostly use it more in the off season to take a deeper dive look at okay, we know you're doing this, but like, can we put a number to it? And that's what a lot of this stuff too, whether it's TrackMan or 3D or force plates or sports box, all these kind of things, it just puts a quantitative like number to it to where like, okay, we can measure this, we can get a baseline for what you're doing
Mm.
now. Let's make some improvements. And then if we need to, we can go back, or when we want to, we can go back and say, okay, what's different? Or even, are we're hitting it fantastic right now. So let's see what you're doing. Let's get a
Mhm.
template, let's get a model for how you're moving. And then that way, if you do get sideways or we can't figure some stuff out, we go back, we put you on, and then we can kind of reevaluate and see exactly what you're doing, and we can get you back to where you need to be a lot faster.
Yeah, I like that. I think that's perfect. Not just for when things are going wrong, we're trying to understand better, whether that's helpful, but what does your best look like? And then we have a gauge for how can we, when things are going wrong, compare to what you were doing before. It's the same thing we'll do in clinic, where we get a snapshot of where you're at when you walk in with a all the data, comprehensive eval, all the biomechanics, all the pain testing, all the range of motion testing, everything. And then we get to chip away at certain things. We identify probably the lowest hanging fruit, the thing that doesn't look like it is playing a role. We have shoulder pain, but maybe it's the hip pelvis motor control that's the actual
Hmm.
root cause of this thing that's creating the pattern that uh, your swing instructor and yourself cannot seem to get out ahead of. And it's also the reason that your shoulders now starting to have some pain. It's because the hips will not go into positions or move in positions you're asking it to, and the shoulders taking over. Now we can chip away at
Yeah,
specific
exactly.
pieces, put them together, and then we get to reevaluate. And so that's like maybe the highest level of what that looks like from a golf instructor's perspective is that 3D data, which is impressive gear to have. But there's an art to its use, like you were mentioning, where there's some folks that if you say ulnar deviation, they'll melt down. They don't want to hear that. They don't know what that means. And then there's other folks that really like the data, but you can't overload some of those folks who, if they start thinking too technical, I'm sure you've seen it. Things don't get better. In fact, they get worse. And it's the same thing on the
Absolutely.
biomechanics side, on our side, where if we get too internal with what we're trying to do and the thoughts, and they go too deep with the movements, it doesn't tend to get too fluid. So we got to find that middle ground, find the data, and then find that sweet spot. So nice to see that in the instruction world, you're able to kind of blend those two things together as well.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
I have to ask, with your junior golfers specifically,
Hmm.
what, maybe there's no answer to this. What is one thing that you tend to work on with most of these guys? What's the most recurring? Hey, this is what's going wrong, and this is how we fix it.
So part of my swing philosophy, I guess, or system, or however you want to say it, is I really want for players' hand path to be pretty neutral.
Mm.
Kind of working on a single plane. I feel like if that can happen, whatever it is, if it's vertical or a little bit inside or around, whatever that is, I feel like from there, a player can control the face a little bit better, or at least that's been my experience.
Yeah, cool.
I I I do focus on the face. The face is still incredibly important. It's still everything. But
Hmm.
I found, especially with more um, competitive or advanced players, not always competitive, but advanced players, if I can get that path pretty good, their hand path, then everything else will kind of sync up. Now, the golf
Yeah,
swing's a whole lot more than that. There's pivot, how your elbows move, wrist, um, even going back to your fundamentals of alignment, grip, all these kind of things, posture.
yeah,
Like it all adds up. It all goes together. But if I can get somebody, especially my kids, my juniors, that maybe don't have incredibly bad habits yet, or
mm,
I can kind of mold them or form like a little bit of what they're doing. If I can
yeah.
get that set, then usually their body will respond, and then they can focus on the club face, and then they can control the golf ball. And then it actually helps us create speed as well.
Smart. Yeah. I wish I had a little bit of that myself when I was forming these patterns, because I got a lot of things I got to undo. But good. I like that. More of a single swing plane is kind of a strategy that you've adapted. What when it comes to adults or older golfers, is there anything in particular that is it the same idea where you're trying to get folks into that same sort of positioning and same priority?
Yeah, it's similar. It's there's and don't get me wrong, like there's a corridor of like where it's kind of coming down. Like it's not just
Mm.
so incredibly like linear and small. Like there's a space that I look at. So there's and that depends on, what can somebody do? What does that shoulder do? At the
Right.
top, where's that elbow want to go? Can we get it to go more internal, or do we have to like leave it
Yeah.
out
There
and
you
make
go.
some kind of other adjustment? So it's still dependent on what the person player can do and how they move. If they have tight hips, then they've got back pain, like they try to avoid in their swing, or there's different things going on. That's both of our worlds really, but um, then we make adjustments. Like it's not so much you have to fit into this. It's like, okay, when you're young, I can kind of fit you into this. When you're kind of more established, all right, what do you do? What can you do better? Um, and can the things that you do well, can we not teach that out of you and help kind of improve those things or make them more of a strength than something that
Yeah.
we're trying to change?
Yeah. Interesting. Staying away from making unproductive changes. Yeah. What? You'd mentioned kind of
trying
low
to.
back pain, shoulder tightness. Fair enough.
Hmm.
What have you noticed in the adults that is the most common? What do you notice in terms of pain that you're having to work around, or pure mobility problems? Is it low back pain?
Um, I mean, that's pretty common. I'd say I get a lot of shoulders. Like people, um, I don't know. Maybe it's the former athletes or something going on there, but a little
Yep.
bit of shoulder, a little bit of lower back. Always trying to figure out how to, all right, if what you're doing and how you're moving is maybe not even causing the pain, but it's not helping and could actually over time cause more pain, or we've got too much right side bend, or we got too something going on with your movement and your motion, then that's when I'm going to change something, especially if it's not just because you know, I want it to look better. Every now and then somebody will come in and say, "Hey, I just want this to look better." Well, okay, let's think about this. Like, is it
Sure.
functional right now? And can you control the ball? Okay,
Hmm.
well, no. Or this is actually causing you pain, or this could, if you keep doing this one movement, potentially cause you some low back pain or something going on later on, or hip, or
Yeah.
whatever. So, um, yeah, I would probably more, I guess, yeah, low back, but also, yeah, some shoulder stuff. Um, it's the full gambit, when it comes to
Okay.
golf.
Fair
It could
enough.
be
You
it could
see,
be anything.
you're dealing with it all, unfortunately. Yeah.
Yes.
So typically low back and shoulder are the two big ones. You'd mentioned someone coming in and trying to make the swing prettier, look a little bit better, and you're more focused on it. Is it functional or not? Is really the important part. And that kind of reminded me, it's similar to the work that I do, where an example of this would be someone has got a, say, like a flat foot, and maybe it is like exceptionally flat. Arches are completely driven down, and the foot's almost like everted on both sides. Well, the question is, well, we probably want to work on that, but is it a functional flat foot? Like, so if we put you and coil into that foot, can we see that it actually comes up into supination or not? And if it's not, and it's staying down until you pull on it enough that it just now inverts and it kind of skips that supination phase, this is something we really want to work on. If it's functional and it actually, we bring some supination into it when we need to, and we're able to get back out of it, now we can just work on some of the motor control stuff, and it's not, it falls down the priority list a little bit, right? And there's some other examples of that too, right? So prioritizing how things look, versus can we actually get into position. Other would be like thoracic spine flexion, or people that have kind of bad posture where they're stuck a little bit forward and they hate it. They hate to look at it. There's a lot of
Hmm.
reasons why that could be a thing. Could be genetic, could be some injuries from childhood or when growing up, and some compression fractures and different things like that. Could be postural, and it kind of grows over time. But the question is, if I put you back into extension and try to rotate from there in different positions, can you actually get there? Is the main priority. So is this something we want to spend a lot of time in, because it'll be really effective if we do, or it's like, hey, we're actually able to get there physically. Maybe we'll try to make you feel a little bit better in the swing, and build some strength and control over it a little bit more. But our time is prioritized probably somewhere else, and this or that. And then there's other folks where they just cannot get into extension. They can't rotate from there. It's like, this is probably goal number one. Have huge effects on your swing if we can get it moving. So it goes a little bit beyond just looking at it, but testing it for function and if it can actually move through these positions. So funny to see, same thing with folks that have a swing that maybe they want to look better, but they're scoring well. And it's like, well, maybe we spend some time out of a bunker practicing a little bit or something like that. Um,
Absolutely.
so well said there. When it comes to the how things have changed over time, you said the way that you instruct and your lessons and how they go, and they've changed over time. Have you noticed anything just in the culture of golf that's changed over time, and what people are prioritizing? What have you kind of noticed over your years?
Oh, let's see. it's probably always been a thing, but speed is just so important now. Like you have to generate speed, um, and you have to be able to support it. That's probably more important than actually creating it. Um, you know, yeah, 20 some odd years ago when I was growing up, like, or even just getting into golf late, like speed was important, but it was not emphasized. It was still about um, controlling the ball flight. But I feel like more these days, it's like you gotta be fast, 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 fast. You know, you gotta have 180 ball
Hmm.
speed, all these things, and we see it on tour, and we see it with college players, and shoot, we
I
see it
bet.
with some of these high-end junior players. Like they're creating so much speed now at a younger age. It's incredible. So I would think that's probably the biggest thing um, that is probably focused more on by teachers today is like
Yeah.
creating speed. Um, but with that, I would say we've got to create it, but you have to control it. So I want my players, yeah, I want them all to swing 180 like that. That would be great. Let's hit it really far. But we
Yeah.
also have to have the ability to slow it down to, control wedges, hit those half shots, hit those,
Mm,
3/4 kind of shots with our short and mid irons that we can control the speed, control the ball speed, control the distance. I think that's even more important. Everybody's kind of getting fast now, but not everybody can control it. So I think
yeah.
for me,
Mm,
that's been a big focus of mine is like even on the kids that and guys, players, girls. I've got one girl, she can move it. She swings 111, 112. So pretty
wow.
fast for a young lady,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, but we work on controlling, um, you know, her speed with her wedges so that she can, I mean, she's going to have a lot of wedges. So we've got to be able to have control over the face, what's it
Good
doing,
point.
um, controlling the spin, all those kind of things. So speed is, still incredibly important and focused on, but controlling the speed is, to me, more
I
important.
see. Would you say for junior golfers, that's key number one to win a tournament is speed control, the combination of the two? Um, and is that the same for a golfer trying to win a member here in Nashville? What's the most important quality?
Absolutely, speed control, whether it's, busting driver, or controlling your speed on the greens. Like that's
Mm,
another part of it. Like it's still
yep.
speed control of however how much force are you putting in the ball to make it go 12 feet or 4 feet or 30 feet, like whatever it is. And then that also translates to, short game wedges. Like, can you control that speed? Like it's not just as simple as just hit this shot, right? There's different shots and they require different amounts of force and speed and how what kind of torques we're putting into it, all those kind of things.
Yeah.
So speed control, no matter what aspect of the game you're kind of going into, whether you're 14 years old and trying to win an AJGA event, or you're 46 years old and you're trying to win, your club championship or member guest with one of your buddies, like
Hmm.
being able to control speed is still going to, I believe, help you get the best outcome if you're in control. Because if you can
Yeah.
control that, then you're typically controlling the face, which means that you can control direction. So you're going to have, it's just going to compound on top of each other.
Is there a training strategy or a drill that you really like for that? It's, every club is kind of involved in that. Is there a way of practicing if you have 30 minutes at the range that can emphasize that? Are you being more specific about choosing targets when you're out there practicing on the range and things like that? What advice can you kind of give for how natural golfers can go out there and prioritize speed and control?
Yeah, absolutely. Just if you're just on a range and you don't have any technology, then just pick different targets. It's not everything is just a full swing. Like let me just try to hit this at this target or this flag or this green or whatever. It's a lot more of um, there's you need to have a ladder for each club as far as all right, my 7 iron, let's say, goes 170 yards. Now I need to also be able to hit this thing 150 yards or 140 yards, or someone with more speed might hit it 190. But if they can control it and bring it back down and hit it 30 yards shorter, but keep it online and control the face, then like we've got something. Um, and then as far as like if you do have technology, indoor or outdoor, um, TrackMan, flight scope, uh, whatever you've got, then like you can look at ball speed. It's not all about club head speed. It's about controlling the ball speed. If you can
Hmm.
maneuver that up and down, for normal 7 iron ball speed's 120, can you hit it 110? Can you hit it 115? Can you
I see.
max it to 122? Like that's really true distance is controlling the ball speed and the spin. So if you can kind of put those together with how you feel things. And typically, most players just practice this with wedges, because we've got our 58 or 60 and we're hitting it 60 yards to 100 yards. Like we got to go
Hmm.
all in between there. So, all right, can we pull this back out to a 9 iron? Can we hit this thing? All right, maybe it normally
Yeah.
goes 140. Can I hit it 125 and control it? And then we can kind of it then there's no holes or gaps in your yardages or your game because now you've got that off speed pitch going back to baseball.
There you go.
you know
Nice.
Everybody wants their fastball to be fast, but like we've got to have an off speed pitch too. Like it's not always just humming it over there. Sometimes we got to have a little touch. So if we can
Well
develop
said.
that um, just throughout the bag, um, even off the tee. Yeah, it's still a skill set that it'll translate throughout.
Yeah. Yeah. Well said. Something I can work on. It's basically all full swings for me out there on the range, uh, but I still
You and
working on
most
it.
people.
Yes, it's good to hear that. Some good advice to bring some control back into things. What's always been your strengths in golf? Is there one particular facet of the game that you really excel and always have?
Wedges and putting. I've always been. I never hit it very
Nice. Yeah.
far, even as a younger guy. But I could hit my wedges pretty decent, and I could make some putts. So that's how I was able to compete. I couldn't out outdrive very many people. It was fairly straight, and I
Yeah.
could find it. So when I got a wedge in my hand, I just tried to hit it a little bit closer and give myself a chance on the greens. If I could do that, then I could I could keep up.
Yeah. Yeah. Very good. What a few more things here before I let you go. I'd like to ask, you said you haven't been playing too much recently.
Hmm.
But when you do play, where do you like to play around here in Nashville?
Oh gosh. Um, I mean, there's a ton of incredible spots. Public golf is it's good, but we need more of it in Nashville. There's
I
plenty
think
of
so.
great private clubs. Gaylord Springs, where I teach out of mostly. Great public course. People kind of forget about. It's always in good shape. Hermitage is right down the road. They have 36 holes. It's really nice facility. They do a
Hmm.
great job there. Chris and his team are really awesome. Then the west side, you got the Greystone. You go down south, go to Franklin Bridge.
Yeah.
Even some of the munis like Harpeth Hills, Ted Roads, Two Rivers, McCabe, of course. Like there's plenty of good golf around Middle Tennessee. Then so most of my rounds in the last couple of years been at have been at Gaylord, like a quick nine or playing with a student or
Makes
something like
sense. Yep.
that recently. So every now and then I'll get out. have some friends still at the golf club or something like that. We'll go and
Awesome.
pitch it around a little bit.
Perfect. Yeah, you gotta have those friends at different spots so you get to go play their courses a little bit. It's a good strategy. What is
Absolutely.
the I like to ask, what is the hardest hole in Nashville?
Oh gosh. Um, I would say if you played it, and I worked there for 6 years, it's number one at Nashville Golf and Athletic. Everybody
Yep.
hates that hole. That green it's tiny. It's I think 9 paces wide, and you got water on the left and a bunker on the right, and it's 50
That's right.
paces long. So it's just this long slope, and then the left side of the green, it kind of slopes off into the water. So you've got to hit a really good shot.
Yep.
Um,
That's number one
to
answer.
to yeah, absolutely. Actually, I figured out how to play the hole. Number two there, I always got. I would I I would probably say I birdied number one a lot more than I birdied number two at Nashville Golf.
I see. Wow.
So for whatever reason, number two just ate my lunch. But
Yeah.
number
I've
one is
some folks.
definitely, um, yeah, I think that's pretty universal if you're a Nashville golfer and you've been out to Nashville Golf. Um, you basically write down double for everybody and just go to number two tee.
Yeah, fair enough. I think Scotty even did as well. If someone told me that, I think when they came and played. Um, so what's your strategy on that hole then? Is it your wedge game just coming in huge here?
Yeah, the water kind of comes in off the tee, like kind of down the middle, down the left. I just try to figure out like how do I get to the bottom of the hill as close to the water as I can get as without getting in the water. So you have a flat lie, and from there
Mm,
it's just a little wedge or 9 iron to the back of the green, and I can
I see.
control those. So, and I was never afraid of that bunker. So I would aim at the edge of it and just draw it off of it, and or just hold one there.
Yeah,
Um, so, or just bail out short right um, in front, and it's a pretty easy chip. So obviously you got to avoid the water, um,
yeah,
but yeah, getting it down there as far as you can, um, and not being stuck on top of the hill or on the downslope, um,
smart.
definitely makes it a lot more challenging for sure.
I see. So get to flat ground. Smart.
Yes.
It's worth the risk. Okay, cool. Well, where can folks find you? Where are you working? You're working out of Gaylord, right? And even in town. What are how do folks take lessons with you? And are you accepting students at the moment?
Yeah, absolutely. So I work with the guys out at Profectus, and we have a facility out at Gaylord Springs, with indoor and outdoor, uh, indoor hitting bay and a grass tee out there most of the year. It's not quite open yet, but
And
usually,
Hideout Golf Club.
and then the hideout. Yeah, so we have two
I
locations for the
apologize.
hideout. It's a phenomenal facility um, that we were able to partner with. That's where we have our gear system, our 3D motion capture, and
Mm,
dedicated teaching bay at um, um, our Sylvan location, and then there's another location that's off of 8th Avenue, a little bit closer to downtown. So, but yeah, those are the main two. Every now and then I'll give a playing lesson with a player at their course if I know the head pro.
I
But
see.
that's the main place. You can find me at perfectusgolf.com, or you can just find me online, Instagram, stboo golf, um, on Instagram, X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it.
Cool.
And yeah, I'm always looking for to help people out, and that's where they can find me.
Good. I'll include Profectus in the description there and to the website, and then your Instagram handle, and folks can reach out either way. Well, perfect.
Cool.
Very good. Hopefully, you get one of your rounds in this weekend. Maybe not, but it's a good weekend for it before it gets cold. Thank you,
Yeah, I
Stephen,
know Monday's
for
gonna be
coming on the
cold.
podcast.
Yeah,
Yep,
absolutely. This
this
was
is
fun.
awesome. Well, we'll do it again sometime, and if we see you out there doing a teaching lesson, we'll say hi.
Sounds great. Thanks, Nick.